it's Chris, MTGO's RexDart, and I'm here with the deck tech for the Dredgevine deck. And obviously I didn't build this deck myself, as I explained in the article, so it's a little more difficult for me to give a precise card choice thing, but I can kind of break down what the categories are here. Basically, the idea of the deck is to fill your own graveyard very quickly and get a number of creatures that you can bring back from the graveyard for little or no cost and win quickly. And I played a bit of this deck back in Standard when it was using Bloodghast and Vengevines, but I usually used Hedron Crab because you didn't actually have Dredge Guys back then, and you certainly didn't have anything as good as Faithless Looting. So the way that this deck is configured, you basically have on this side here are your enablers. You have a couple Golgari Thugs and a Stinkweed Imp, and you have Grizzly Salvage, which was used in the Rights decks from last Standard season, so most people are pretty familiar with that, and Faithless Looting, which of course was used in the Rights decks from 2 Standard seasons ago, the Elesh Norn ones. These are all fairly familiar, and Golgari Thug and Stinkweed Imp are the dredgers of choice here, because there's the Dredge 6 guy, I believe, is banned in Modern. Now your business guys here that you want to see hit in your graveyard are Vengevines and Bloodghasts, because they're easy to bring back. The only trouble here is this deck has a very little land count at 20, and so you need to be careful. Maybe leave a fetch land sitting on the table to try to bring back Bloodghasts if you hit Bloodghasts. The Vengevines, the difficulty there is casting 2 creatures. So the cheap dredge guys here, like Golgari Thug, when you dredge, you're bringing the guy into your hand from the graveyard. So if you don't originally not have like another discard outlet or something to immediately put it back in there, you just have this guy in your hand now. But something like this is cheap enough that you could cast this and then cast another cheap creature in order to get your Vengevines back. So that's the idea. You'd have Deathrite Shamans here, and you could hold them in your hand and try to cast them to bring back Vengevines. Lotleth Troll is a discard outlet, and then you have Tamaret the Murder King here, who I have a little fun with because I think his name is really, really stupid. But I guess the idea is if he's in your graveyard, you can actually sacrifice a creature to bring him back. He's a zombie, so it brings it back to your hand. So you could say sacrifice a Gravecrawler, bring this guy back to your hand, and then cast this guy and a Gravecrawler to trigger your Vengevines. But that's a lot of mana for a deck with only 20 lands, even if it does have Deathrite Shamans and Grizzly Salvage to help you get to those lands. So I see what this is kind of trying to do, and you can also use it like Goblin Bombardment to kind of be a machine gun to your opponent with Gravecrawler, but it's a little mana intensive. Over here you've got a set of Lightning Bolts and a couple of Abrupt Decays, another one on the board just to help you with interaction with your opponent. And just nice to have that. And Lightning Bolts can help finish off the opponent, plus you want to try to get them down below 10 so that your Bloodghasts have haste, so sometimes you just might want to go to the face of the Lightning Bolt. The sideboard was all over the place here. I'm guessing Ancient Grudges for Affinity, but in general, all of this stuff I was kind of bringing in when I tried to guess what my opponent's hate card would be for me, because there wasn't a transformational sideboard where I could just play this straight. I mean, you kind of could have draws that played a little bit straight, but you're not trying to really win that way, so you had to figure what your opponent was going to bring in and try to react to it. Usually you can bring in Thoughtseize, unless it's something like Leyline of the Void, and use that against their hate card, and then after that it's just a guessing game whether they're going to be using enchantment or an artifact to get you. So, and there's a little bit of stuff here against opposing graveyard decks like Surgical Extraction and one of the modes on the Rakdos Charm. So anyways, that's the deck. It's kind of fun to play, kind of fun to pilot, and we'll get to see a couple of interesting match play videos coming up here, so stay tuned for those.